Hey, what's going on, guys? Crass Businessman here. Today I want to talk about a topic that has plagued me for a while. But let's start by getting the quote of the day out of the way. So the quote of the day today is, when you really want something, the whole universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And that's Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist, which is actually one of my favorite books. Now, there is strong evidence and a logical argument to support the idea that you don't get what you kind of want. You only get those things that you really want. And because everybody has kind of wants, like I want to get buff, I want a Lamborghini, I want a private jet, I want a really hot wife, but they don't really want it. And I say this because, I draw this conclusion based on the fact that they know exactly how to get these things in a simplistic sense, as we have access to all the information you could possibly get on the internet. So we can figure out, anyways, how to get what we want. But we don't do anything about it. So to me, this indicates that you don't want it enough. You might want it a little bit, but not enough. So you're not willing to sacrifice, comfort, time, energy, effort, or money in order to get it. So whatever is at the top of the priority list will absolutely get done, no question. But most of the time, we aren't even aware of what's on the priority list, especially not consciously. And there are lots of factors that affect whether something is even on the list at all. Now, some of these factors include, for example, if you're looking to increase revenue in your business and, you want to do so by, let's say, initiating a new video marketing campaign, you want to make, some sort of marketing video, you have a lot to do. Let's say, you set a goal to get the script written by 10 p.m., and you're tired from working throughout the day, and you decide that, hey, I want to put it off until tomorrow. Now, you may not be fully aware, of it, but rest and sleep just became the top of the priority list. And, I'm not really trying to touch on, the backlash of procrastination, but let's just focus on this. So rest and sleep just made its way to the top of the priority list. Now, when looking at it from this perspective, you can see that you only kind of wanted it done. Because if you really wanted it done, you would do it. And you didn't want it done enough to sacrifice sleep. Now, most of the time it can be avoided, and I definitely don't recommend sacrificing sleep. But if you're in a situation where you can definitely still get 6 to 8 hours of sleep, you're shortchanging yourself. You're making excuses at that moment because the task at hand was not a priority, and this is mainly a result of it not being an intense want. It's only a kind of want. And this is the distinction I was trying to make today. So the begging question is, how do you take something from kind of wanting it to really fucking wanting it, where you're basically, obsessed? Well, the closest definition of really fucking wanting something is to become obsessed. Now, as a society, we often associate obsession with a negative feeling. It's got a negative connotation to it, because usually obsessed is kind of closely linked to addiction, and it really comes down to an overarching focus on one thing. Now, luckily, it's impossible to focus on one thing at all times, because you would literally go insane. If you did 24 hours of focus on one thing, it would just never work. But if you can harness the majority of your focus on achieving one goal, you are positioned already better than, I'd say, 90% of your competition. And most of the competition is you, or a lesser version of you, I should say. But back to the question, how do you go from kind of wanting something, a small desire, we'll call it, to being fucking obsessed, which is a real goal? Well, we're going to do this in just a few steps. So first of all, make a list of 25 benefits that will come as a result of the small desire. Secondly, find 10 of the most motivating images you can possibly find of your small desire. Find some that are balls deep in the industry in which it exists. For example, if your desire, your small desire is that you want to be buff, get 10 super inspiring photos of people at the gym, people doing amazing physical feats, someone just, filling out their clothes really well, etc. Now, third, find 15 videos related to your small desire that are also equally motivating. Fourth, create 10 affirmations, or what I call immersion phrases, that you'll recite when you get up and right before you go to sleep. Now, this part's a bit tricky, because these affirmations should be modeled around what the ideal you would say if you were already obsessed with your current small desire. Now, for example, once again, if you want to be buff as your small desire, you'd say something like, man, I really want to go to the gym. I love working out. I can't wait to go to the gym. I just want to hit the gym. My favorite place to be is at the gym. Now, I chose these phrases in a very specific way, and very, very specifically because of several different reasons. So, number one is, I'm suggesting these immersion phrases because you a lot of people talk like that, and you want to phrase these in the way that you talk, especially if it's offhand. Take a brief inventory of some of the common things you say. Like, lots of people say things like, "Man, I'm tired," even if they aren't, just as a filler. I know I've done it a lot, or "I just want to fill in the blank," or "Man, I can't wait until fill in the blank." Notice I didn't mention anything about actually being buff. The reason I did this is because when your small desire is vague and somewhat immeasurable, it's basically impossible to turn it into a goal. Instead, the preliminary action that will result in the small desire is where the obsession should be. And that's where it should be modeled around if your small desire is vague. Now, the ideal scenario is to take something that's vague, take your small desire that's vague, and turn it into a specific and actionable goal, which is going to be way more, substantially more beneficial in the long run, and, well, even in the short run. It's better overall, but if you can't do it for whatever reason, that's what I'm suggesting. Now, that's a little bit outside of the scope of this video. In a future video, I'll talk about setting SMART goals. That's an acronym for, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. But, so, getting back to it. You have your 25 benefits list. Literally read this aloud every single day in its entirety. You have your 10 images. Make them your background, your lock screen, your computer desktop. Print out a couple of them. Hang them in your bedroom, anywhere you are for long periods of time. Now you got your 15 videos. Watch one every single day. Like one a day, every single day. When you get to the 15th, go back to the first video, do it over. Do this for 1 month, and you do this for 1 full month. Now you have your immersion phrases. Say these every single morning when you first wake up, every single night just before you go to sleep. Now this is an added bonus as well. Turn your small desire into a short sentence. I want to be buff. That's my small desire. And use a visual trigger to indicate when to recite it to yourself periodically. My favorite is the doorway trigger. Every time you pass through a doorway, or you cross over the threshold, what have you, just say your small desire to yourself. So every single time you walk through the doorway, you say, I want to be buff. And eventually it'll become a habit that just will not quit. Now this is a process that I'm calling the Immersion Formula. You do this consistently for 1 month in order to take your small desire into an obsession. You're just you're just being immersed into, the entirety of what you want. Now, that's it for this video, guys. Once again, I'm Crass Businessman. Please like, comment, subscribe. So I stumbled over my words a little bit. Sorry about that. Until next time, stay productive.